Hey, so welcome back to another video. I've actually changed my video idea for this week, so I do apologise about that, but things just weren't working out and just couldn't get it filmed, so I'm going to do a different video. And I'm doing things that annoy me about buses, because I am a regular user of buses and there are plenty of things that I could tell you about what annoys me, so yeah, this could be very interesting. The first thing is prices. Now, ridiculous prices. I mean, from the area that I grew up in, we used to have bus passes from the age of 11 to 16, I think, maybe, not quite sure, but it used to cost us 40p with that. And then I remember it getting, when I got older, it went up to 50p. And then when I got rid of my bus pass, it went up to 60, 70 and so on. And now it's gone up to £1. Like, kids have to pay £1 on the bus. I mean, not all children can afford £1 to travel like to town, which is like 20 minutes away. So, and I just think there's no point in kids having bus passes if it's going to be £1 for them to travel. And then I moved out of my local area, and so now I have different buses to use, and I unfortunately couldn't have a bus pass when I moved during college, so I had to pay the full price. And from here to town, which is about an hour's journey from my other town, not my local town, my other town that I grew up in, that costs about £3.70 on the bus, which for an hour's journey I don't think is too bad. But what really annoys me about prices is when you get on and you're like, oh yeah, £3.70 please, and the driver's like, oh, I'm sorry, the price has gone up to like £3.90, did nobody tell you? No, nobody did tell me. Like, what am I going to do? Just be like, oh yes, is the price still the same as last time? And it's like, I've just done a 6-hour shift at work or something, I just want to go home please. And they're like, oh, £3.90, and you have to scramble back in your bag for your purse to find like that extra 20p. I mean, is it that important, an extra 20p? What if I had no 20p and I couldn't get back home? Would you just chuck me off the bus? Probably, yes, knowing the area that I'm from, probably that would happen. It's just, I just find the whole thing ridiculous. And then like, old people can come on and just have a pass and just travel for free. I mean, I'm not hating on old people, but I think, well, if old people can travel for free, why can't, you know, students have like a free pass like in the week? Like if they're going to college and stuff, can't they have a free bus pass in the week and then pay at the weekends? Can't they do something a little bit like that? Because obviously students don't earn a lot. Kids just go to school, so surely they should be entitled to free travel instead of having to pay 40p and whatever. I just think it's really ridiculous. And they also stopped doing return tickets on the first buses, just basically to get more money out of you. I remember travelling from my ex's house, and literally he lived not even 10 minutes away from town. So I was like, oh, can I have a return? They're like, oh, we don't do returns anymore. I was like, okay. And it cost me £1.80 literally for a 3-minute bus ride down to my work, and I just find that absolutely extortionate for a bus price. From there, it was just unbelievable. So I think, yeah, prices need to be sorted out. So I just do not agree with that at all. And I think linking to this one is the bus drivers themselves. They really need to find some more cheery bus drivers, because every time you get on the bus, they look so miserable. They're just like, and they just don't enjoy being there. And like, you'll give them the money, you'll be like, oh yeah, £3.70 please, and they'll be like, where are you going to? And it's like, oh, Rotherham. Yeah, and they'll just be like, yeah, and then it's just like, okay. So it's like the least cheeriest bus driver. I have a few happy bus drivers, don't get me wrong. There are some that are a bit cheerier, like the younger drivers and stuff. But I once got on a bus. I'd been working and it was winter, so it was like early dark nights and stuff. And I'd been to Costa and just got a drink, and got on the bus, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't come on the bus with that drink. And I was like, I'm only going 10 minutes down the road, can I not just stand at the front? No, it's a hazard to everybody else on the bus. I said, but can't I just stand at the front away from everyone? So if it does spill, it'll spill on me. No. So I had to put the drink in the bin, and I'd only just bought, so I'd not drunk much of it. I mean, I should have asked that driver to pay me the money, really, because I just found it really like unacceptable for that to happen. I know you're not supposed to have food and drink, but it was you know, all I wanted was to go home with a drink because it was freezing cold outside. It was like December or something, and then just go home from work because I'd had a long day. But no, nothing's ever that simple. Again, I've already said old people, but I think old people expect young people to be able to just move for them on the bus. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with that at all. I think especially, you know, if they're in a wheelchair or whatever and they really struggle to walk, then fair enough, give your seat up. But there are a lot of young people that do have physical injuries or problems that you can't always see. Like, I do have feet issues just because of a past injury when I was a child. I can't stand on my feet for too long without getting really bad pain. So if I'm travelling for an hour, I would rather sit on the bus than give up my seat. So I think sometimes old people expect young people to just be able to move out of the way for them, which isn't always the case. I mean, I do move for old people. I tend to sit near the back of the bus anyway, so it doesn't really affect me. But I really do think, and I think they can be really rude as well. Like, old people are notorious for just queue jumping. Just like, I'm old, so I'm just gonna flipping push to the front. Never mind all you lot that have been waiting for ages. I'm just gonna like trundle along with my little trolley. It's like, no, the rules apply to everyone. You line up and you go in the queue. You don't just push through. I mean, I've seen that so many times and people have just let it happen. But then if it was someone my age that went and pushed through, there'd be a riot. Like, did you see that girl? She just pushed in the queue. We can't have that. She's pushed in. And old people are like, oh, she's old, let her off. No, you can't let her off. It's just not fair. Like, society just isn't fair anymore. And I also remember getting a bus home from my local shopping centre once, and the woman was complaining at me. I remember just going to have a look what number bus it was. Like, I wasn't going to get on the bus. I was just checking that it was the right bus. She was like, excuse me, I was here first. I've been waiting for an hour. I was like, well, one, you shouldn't wait for a bus for an hour. Like, that's a little bit stupid. And two, I was literally just looking what bus number it was. Don't worry. There's literally 3 people waiting for the bus. So I think you're going to get on. Like, I just think some of their attitudes are really, really rude. And they're supposed to be old and appreciate, you know, people and things. I just think sometimes they can just take it a little bit too far. So, and another one is smelly people. Now, this is going to sound really bad, but every time I'm on the bus, there's always a smelly person. I can guarantee. I get on the bus so often that there is normally a smelly person. And I had a really bad person sit next to me once, and it was that bad. It just, you know, when they smell like wee and stuff, it was just like really difficult to breathe. And oh, it's just, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't know why people go out and let themselves smell that bad. I mean, like, BO is bad enough, but when it's like toilety smell, it just makes me want to vomit. It's horrible. And they always tend to sit near me. I don't know why. I think I just have that kind of face of like, oh, they won't mind if I sit next to them. And then I'm just kind of sat there trying not to die from not being able to breathe, or that just smells so bad. And it's just, oh yeah, that's just my thoughts on smelly people. And then buses, again, never turning up on time. This is like a regular thing. Like, where I live now, it's not too bad. They do tend to be on time. But where I used to live, it's just like you'd wait for a bus and they'd just never turn up. And it's like, well, what if you've got to be somewhere really important and the bus just isn't there? You know, you could get fired from your job if you're like late or something. And I just think they really need to check the time management, because that is part of their job, to get there on time. I can understand if they've got really bad roadworks, or, you know, or the weather's like really snowy and they don't turn up. But it's just when the weather's fine, or, you know, decent enough to drive in, and they just trundle along like there's no rush, and it's just like, oh, excuse me, I've got to be somewhere. I'd appreciate it if you could hurry up a little bit. Another thing that really annoys me is the heating issues. Like, when it's been really hot in the summer, you can get on a bus and the heating is on, and it's sweating, and everyone is really sweaty, and again, smelly, and then people are having to open the windows. I mean, you shouldn't have the heating on in summer. That should be for the winter rides. But then they never put the heating on in the winter, and then people open the windows in the winter and freeze everyone to death. I don't understand society. I really do not understand society. I mean, people are like, oh yeah, there's germs everywhere, but I would rather be on a bus, warm, for however long I'm travelling, than freezing. It is not a nice experience. Even with a really warm coat on, it is not a nice experience. And I wish people would just leave the windows alone on buses when it's cold. because it's just horrible, and especially when it's like minus temperatures, which you can get like minus temperatures. So, oh no. Another one that I put down is drivers who stop for breaks. Like, this happens too often. Like, I'll be going and I'll be like literally at my destination, there'll be 2 stops away, and it stops and the bus driver will either go to the toilet or he'll go off and smoke. I mean, toilet's more of an acceptable break, to be honest, because especially if they've been travelling back and forward for a few hours, they're going to need to go to the toilet. But going for a smoke, I think, is a little bit unacceptable, just because there's, you know, you have an allocated break to do that. You shouldn't have to stop your journey with all your passengers on to do that, when that amount of time stopping could affect somebody turning up for somewhere on time, or, you know, someone's appointment, they could miss it and have to rebook it, anything. And I think bus drivers need to be a little bit more considerate than what they are, because it's just a little bit out of hand. It does get really out of hand, and I'm glad the buses where I live now are more reliable and a little bit cheerier to travel on, because I know some areas just don't have the nicest buses. I also think they should make more buses around here more optional, because I know some places will have buses every 10 minutes, whereas we have 2 buses, one every half hour. So it's kind of just like, how is that fair? We have a town bus as well though, so I suppose that's not too bad. But yeah, so that is my thoughts on travelling with buses. Really sorry my throat's gone a little bit funny. If anyone agrees, disagrees, please leave some comments down below. All my links are down below as well. Please give the video a big thumbs up. Please subscribe as well if you did enjoy the video or agreed with anything that I've said. And hopefully I should be doing a tag video next week with a friend, so I should hopefully see you then. Sorry for the slight change of plan of videos, but yeah, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.